Hey, welcome to Outsmart Your Guitar. Today, in this Geoff Talk, we're going to discuss how imitation is indeed the sincerest form of flattery. In learning to play the guitar, we actually imitate or copy stuff done by other players, right? It's how we learn things. So what we're going to do is demonstrate some licks, rhythms, and other stuff to help you understand the importance of doing just that because of the things you learn in doing so. Make sure you like and subscribe to Outsmart Your Guitar, and let's get to the lesson. I'm going to start off really easy here, playing a lick that you'll probably recognize the instant I play it, particularly if you've listened to any blues at all. This is the quintessential blues lick. All right, you've heard it. So if you don't know it, here's your opportunity to actually learn it. Now, the reason we learn licks is not just so that we can play the lick as we learned it, but now we want to start playing around with the lick, doing things to it. For example, the simplest change is instead of bending, here we're going to slide up to our target note. Has a very different sound than this. And then you can change the order of notes. Or start altering things. Right? So really kind of play around with it and see what you come up with. And then you can connect it with another lick you might know. For example, a little BB action here. And play around with it. Even play around with the BB lick. Change things around and start creating new licks. This expands the number of licks you know by taking a lick you already know and changing it. One you've learned, change it. So that's what I want you to do here. Pause the video, learn this lick if you don't know it, then start changing it. Do things, add notes in, take notes away, change the way the notes are played, whatever works, right? That's the whole idea. Then, after you've done that for a few minutes, press play and we'll get to the next bit. Next thing I want to focus on is a rhythm. And this rhythm I call the galloping rhythm. It's been used in a lot of stuff. Barracuda by Heart, Run for the Hills by Iron Maiden, and probably a whole lot of other bands over the years as well. One of the things about playing this galloping rhythm is keeping it in time without speeding up. I can't tell you when I was younger that I didn't do this. I did. Speed up. We started the song off at one tempo, and by the end of the song, we're flying along at much faster tempo because this tended to get out of control. All right, so what do we got? We got an E minor, a C, and a D. Now, instead of playing full chords, what we're doing is actually just playing the 5-chord version of these. And you can even just play the 1 and the 5. You don't need the additional root, so you can just play those 2 notes there. So you're going down, goes to up, down, goes to up, down, right? So you keep this motion going. Now, the other option is to play it with a slight mute so it's a little tighter sounding. Either or. It's your choice. However, what I want you to do is play this, smooth it out, and then put it to a metronome. And you don't have to do it at a super fast tempo. In fact, a little bit slower tempo will actually help you hear yourself speeding up, right? And that's the whole idea. You want to hear when you're losing time, i.e. speeding up, even slowing down a little bit. And so put that metronome on where you're going to hear it nice and loud, and practice this for a few minutes and hear how your time is drifting faster or slower or a little of both, and learn to normalize it to a singular tempo, and that you're able to manage to stay on tempo throughout, okay? Then after you've done this for a while, go ahead and restart the video. This next example is both a lick and a rhythm, all wrapped up in one. You have some hammer-ons right off the bat with a pull-off, and you've got a slur. Now, a slur is just when you play something and then move it down or up. In this case, we're moving down. You play it once and then move it in time, all right? So let me play through this. Another cool thing about this is that you have a moving bass part built in. And that's really cool. All integrated into the greater whole. So not only are you working on hammer-ons and pull-offs, but you're working on slurs and an integrated moving bass part as well. How cool is that? So pause the video and practice this, learn it. Take it slow, take your time, it's all right there. You know how it's supposed to sound. And then once you've got it down, smooth it out. And don't worry about playing it at full tempo. If you can play it nice and smooth at a slower tempo, the quality of execution is what matters more than being able to play this at tempo and be sloppy in the process. All right? After you've done that for a little bit, go ahead and press play. The 70s and the 80s were a great time for guitar bands. And this one little band that came out of the South invented or popularized some really cool licks, repeating licks in particular. Now, this lick begins at the 15th fret on the 2nd string, and you can use your 3rd finger if you want, or your 4th finger, it's up to you. And you play that on the 2nd string at 15, pull off to 12 on the 2nd string, and then your 3rd finger plays 14 on the 3rd string. Your 1st finger is actually laying across the 1st and 2nd strings at 12, and you're going to use your 2nd finger to play the high E. Notice down in the little box on the right. That's called hybrid picking. So you're doing pull-offs and hybrid picking to play this lick. You cannot play this lick smooth and fast and flowing without using the hybrid technique. So pick, pull, pick, hybrid, pick, pull, play, pick, hybrid. just like that. You just play that, play the dickens out of it, right? It's a great little lick because it integrates hybrid picking. Now, if you've never done hybrid picking before, I'm going to caution you. Do not practice this too much at first. No more than a minute or two, because your second finger is going to get a blister if you keep going. And you don't want that, because then you can't play hybrid licks with a blistered finger. It hurts and it'll pop and you won't be able to use that finger for anything for a while. So we want to avoid that. Okay, so pause the video and practice this lick. It's totally awesome. And you want to learn this lick anyway. Just want to take a second to tell you to look down in the description and you'll see a link to patreon.com/outsmart your guitar. Go become a patron by subscribing. In so doing, you'll unlock access to a lot of material that's not featured here, expanded versions of lessons such as this one, and all written material for the lessons. Sound good? All right, let's get back to the Geoff Talk. Here is one of the cool things about the lick you just learned a minute ago. It's movable, even at the same position. So we're going to move over 2 strings, and you're going to play it here at 12 on the 3rd string, and you're going to do that with your second finger. That's your hybrid string, and then you're going to lay your first finger across the 3rd and the 4th strings to do this. So hybrid pick 12, and then play 14 on the 4th string, pull off to 12, and pick 14 on the 5th string. Okay, so the lick is movable. Now, again, it's also, you can do it right here on the 2nd string and 3rd string and 4th string. So you can start here. Right? Creating a whole cool cascading lick effect. So that is also called scale sequencing. Because you play a lick, move it, play it, the same lick, move it, play the same lick. You're just playing in different notes and different places across the fretboard, and that's called scale sequencing. I cover that elsewhere as well. So this is why some licks are really great to learn, because they can be moved. You can even go down here, right? There's my hybrid pick, play, pull off, play. On the 2nd string at 8 is my hybrid thing, then 3rd string at 9, pull off to 7, and then play 9 on the 4th string. Pretty cool. I mean, that's the whole idea, that you can move these around, playing it around. And that's what I'm talking about when I mentioned that you imitate and then start to alter the licks so that they can become something more than what you started with, adding more licks to your lick library, the number of licks you know. All right, so pause the video and practice this lick, and then practice the one starting on the 2nd string, and then play the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd string initiated licks and see what you do. Have some fun with it. Take 5 minutes or more. All right? Then, when you're ready to move forward, press play. The example before you is the intro to Blowin' Free by Wishbone Ash, a band that, if you haven't heard about, you want to check out their first 4 albums. They were an early, late 60s, early 70s band. They kind of went away, and then they came back in the 90s. But basically, their first 4 albums were the quintessential wishbone ash sound. They were very innovative, very progressive, and very cool. Now, for this particular intro, the reason I've chosen this is so that you get familiar with the idea of movable chord shapes. We're going to be dealing with the D shape right now for this intro. We're going to have it up at 7, at 5, and then back at the first position. Your pick is going to be pedal point on the D. That will be a repeated figure. That's what a pedal point means, is basically you're playing this constantly throughout the whole thing. You come up here to 7, and your first or your second and third fingers will be playing the second and first strings, and you'll be picking those. So you want to be careful about calluses, right? And not getting blisters. You want to develop callus and not blisters. So you don't want to do this a whole lot at first. Maybe a couple minutes at the outside, then take a break for a few hours and then come back maybe for a few more minutes until you start to toughen those fingers up when you're doing this stuff. Okay, here's what you're going for. Okay, so you can see staying rooted on the D keeps this grounded. But the cool thing is that you're able to move this shape around. For example, Pete Townsend used the D shape when he was writing the rock opera Tommy. You might remember this bit. And there are others you can do. You can use other open chord shapes. For example, A. Take it up here to 5 and 7, back to root. You can even go up to the octave and work from there. You can pedal point on the A. It's up to you what you want to do, right? Another one is E, right? So if I went up to the 12th fret, to the octave, stuff like that. So pause the video, learn this intro bit to get yourself grounded on a very strong example of moving chord shapes, and then imitate the idea, playing with the D, find out what else you can come up with, move to the A, and innovate and implement, right? So that you are using it, and you can do it with the E, and see what other chords you can do it with in the open position. You'll find some really cool stuff. All right. Then after you've done this for 5-10 minutes or so, go ahead and restart the video. All right, some cool ideas for you to look at and embrace. And the important underlying thing here is do not be afraid to imitate. We all imitate when we're learning to play because it's how we learn to play stuff. For me, I wanted to be a good soloist, lead guitar player. So I learned a lot of solos so I could understand what goes into a good solo, right? That was critical so that I had a basis of understanding by learning what other people did. I'm imitating them, putting those things to work, the licks I learned to work in what I was doing, and putting them in an order that I chose. Even though they were all unoriginal licks, I used them and put them in order that I thought they would work. And then I started to innovate by taking those licks and changing them and adding things to them and modifying them until they became my licks. And this is part of the process of developing your personal style. All right? We have to imitate. That's number one. Number two, implement. Take what you've imitated and implement it. Put it to work so that you get it and get good at it. Then start innovating by modifying it and changing it, flipping things around, adding things in, taking things away, right? This way you start to create your own body of licks and runs and stuff like that that are unique to you. Again, creating elements of style. That's part of the process of how style comes about. Okay, well, that'll do for this one. Thank you so much for spending time here. I really do appreciate it. And I got lots of material for you to check out. So do check it out. We'll see you there.